audience. Take a moment and imagine a life where all the voices fade away, the laughter, the conversations, the connections. What does that life look like? What does it feel like? Today, I want us to think about something that many might find difficult to confront. A life without friends isn't always just about isolation sometimes. It's about not letting people in, about building walls where there should have been doors. But I believe friendships, connections, and bonds aren't something we're simply given, they're something we choose. And we have to show up, put in the work, and decide who we're going to be in the lives of others. Have you ever wondered what kind of person doesn't have friends? It might surprise you to know it's not necessarily the loners, the quiet ones, or the misunderstood. No, it could be someone who got lost in the hustle, the pursuit of success, the constant race to stay on top. It could be someone who kept looking outward, missing the chance to look inward. Someone who was so focused on chasing goals, they forgot to nurture the bonds that matter most. In our culture, we often measure success by what we can hold in our hands: money, fame, accolades. But the real measure of success is found in the relationships we build, in the lives we touch, and in the love we share. A life without friendships might seem like it's all under control. It might look powerful, even impressive. But when the lights go out, when the cheers fade away, what's left? Who do we have then? True friendship is built on vulnerability, not accomplishment. The world teaches us to be strong, resilient, and independent, constantly striving for success, and often we get lost in that pursuit. We learn early on that success is a measure of our worth, we're told, that accomplishments define us. We're taught to build a persona that says, I have it all together. We set goals, work tirelessly, and celebrate each achievement, thinking that's what will bring us happiness. Yet many of us discover somewhere along the way that these achievements alone aren't enough. That success, while fulfilling in one way, leaves us empty in another. When it comes to friendship, we often carry the same mindset. We want to be the strong friend, the reliable friend, the friend who has it all figured out. We hide our struggles, our fears, our doubts, thinking that's what makes us more likable, more respected. But that image we create, that flawless version of ourselves we show to the world, is not where real friendship lives. Friendship is not sustained by the impression we give, but by the openness we share. Think about the people you feel closest to. Chances are they're not the ones who always seem perfect, the ones who have all the answers. Instead, they're the ones who have let you see them in their vulnerable moments. They've shown you their struggles, shared their insecurities, and allowed you to witness the parts of themselves they might not be proud of. These are the people who've shown you their true selves, not just their accomplishments or their strengths. Real connection, the kind of connection that lasts, grows from this space of vulnerability. It's built in those moments when we drop our guard, when we allow ourselves to be seen as we are, not as we want to be perceived. This is where friendships take root. This is where two people, two souls, find common ground, not in shared victories, but in shared humanity. I think of the times when you've been at your lowest, when life wasn't going your way, when things felt uncertain. In those moments, did you turn to the people who would simply congratulate you or applaud your success? Or did you seek out the ones who would sit with you, listen without judgment, and remind you that you're not alone? This is the essence of true friendship, the kind that doesn't waver when life gets hard. It's the kind that doesn't rely on accomplishments, but on the willingness to say, this is who I am, even at my lowest. There's a misconception that showing vulnerability makes us weak, that it exposes us to the risk of rejection or judgment. And yes, there's a risk in opening up. But there's also immense courage in it, a courage that says, I am more than what I achieve. I am worthy of connection, not because of what I've done, but because of who I am. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we're saying to the people in our lives, I trust you enough to show you my true self. It's in this space of trust and openness that the most meaningful friendships blossom. When we show others our fears, our uncertainties, and our flaws, we invite them to do the same. It's as though we're saying, it's safe here. You don't have to be perfect with me. And that mutual acceptance, that shared understanding, creates a bond that goes beyond any accomplishment. Many of us try to shield our friends from our struggles, thinking we're protecting them. We tell ourselves they wouldn't want to hear about our problems, that it's our duty to bear our burdens alone. But in doing so, we rob our friends of the chance to truly know us, to support us in the ways that matter. We deny them the opportunity to be there for us, to stand by us, to prove their loyalty and love. And so we remain distant, isolated by the very walls we built to keep us safe. We all have a desire to be seen, to be understood. But that can't happen if we're only showing the parts of ourselves we think others want to see. True friendship calls for more. It calls for honesty, for vulnerability, for a willingness to say, this is me, imperfections and all. It's It's a call to step out from behind the mask of accomplishment and let our friends see the real person within. It's in our nature to celebrate our friends' successes, to cheer them on when they reach a new milestone, to be there for the happy moments. But it's just as important to be there for the quiet moments, the painful moments, the moments when they feel unsure. And this is a two-way street. Just as we're willing to be there for our friends in their vulnerable times, we must let them be there for us in ours. Friendship isn't a one-sided equation. It's not about always being the strong one or the one who has everything together. It's about being willing to say, I need you too, and in doing so, we create space for friendships that are built on mutual support, on a foundation of real understanding. Our achievements are temporary. They bring us joy, pride, even respect, but they don't sustain the human need for connection. Accomplishments can impress, but they can't replace the bond that's formed when two people share their fears, their hopes, and their struggles. True friendship isn't about what we do, but about who we are and our willingness to let others see that. When we embrace vulnerability, we give others permission to do the same. We break down the barriers that keep us isolated, that keep us feeling like we have to handle everything on our own. We create a space where people feel safe, accepted, loved not for what they've achieved, but for who they are. And that ultimately is the gift of true friendship. Isolation often comes from walls we build, not from others leaving. It's easy to think of isolation as something that just happens to us, something that sneaks up quietly and claims us when people leave or when relationships drift apart. But more often than not, the truth is, isolation is something we play a role in, sometimes without even realizing it. We're told from a young age to protect ourselves, to be strong, to avoid relying too much on others. And bit by bit, as we go through life, we start to build walls around ourselves, walls that are meant to protect, but often end up isolating us. We don't set out to build these walls consciously. They start as tiny things, small moments of hurt, times we've been misunderstood, moments we've been disappointed or let down by someone we trusted. Maybe it's a friendship that didn't last, a relationship that ended painfully, or a betrayal that left scars. We start building walls with every one of these experiences, each brick laid down to protect ourselves from the risk of being hurt again. We tell ourselves that if we can keep people at a distance, then maybe we won't have to feel that pain again. We convince ourselves that the walls are necessary, that they're there to keep us safe. Over time, we get so used to those walls that we forget they're even there. We start to live within them, assuming that this is just how life is supposed to be: isolated, controlled, safe. But isolation is a double-edged sword. Yes, it might protect us from the pain of relationships that go wrong, but it also robs us of the joy of relationships that go right. By trying to protect ourselves, we end up limiting our experiences and keeping the best parts of life out of reach. We're safe, but we're also alone. And in that safety, there's a loneliness that settles in, a quiet reminder of everything we're missing out on. Walls can take many forms. Sometimes they're physical, keeping our distance, avoiding gatherings, choosing to stay at home rather than join in. Other times they're emotional. We stop sharing parts of ourselves, holding back pieces of who we are, never really letting anyone see the full picture. We become masters of small talk, skilled at keeping conversations light, never allowing others to delve deeper or see the real us. And on the surface, everything might look fine. We might even seem happy, content. But inside, there's a hollowness that only grows with time. What we don't always realize is that these walls don't just keep people out, they also trap us in. They prevent us from reaching out, from forming real connections, from allowing ourselves to feel vulnerable. We tell ourselves that the isolation is a choice, that we're happier this way, that we don't need anyone else. But deep down, the truth is that no one wants to be alone. We are by nature creatures of connection. We crave relationships, we seek out companionship, and we find joy in the company of others. But our walls tell us a different story. They convince us that we're fine on our own, that it's safer this way, that we don't need to let anyone in. And so the isolation grows. Each day, each year, we get more accustomed to the walls, more comfortable with the silence. We convince ourselves that the loneliness is just a part of life, that it's something we have to accept. But what we fail to realize is that those walls are of our own making. No one else built them. No one else is keeping us in this state of isolation. We did this to ourselves, even if we didn't mean to. We're the ones holding ourselves back from the connection we secretly crave. It takes courage to recognize the role we play in our own isolation. It requires us to look honestly at the walls we've built, to acknowledge that they're there because of choices we've made, fears we've nurtured, and insecurities we've given power to. And that can be a hard truth to face, but only when we see the walls for what they are can we begin to take them down. Only then can we start to let people in, to open ourselves up to the possibility of connection, even if it means risking the hurt we've tried so hard to avoid. The walls might feel like they're protecting us, but what they're really doing is keeping us from experiencing life fully. They keep us from the richness of human connection, from the beauty of friendships that support us, challenge us, and remind us of our worth. When we isolate ourselves, we miss out on the opportunity to be truly seen, truly understood, and truly loved. We rob ourselves of the joy of relationships that could bring meaning, growth, and fulfillment. Letting those walls down isn't easy. It requires us to face the fears and insecurities that led us to build them in the first place. It means acknowledging the past hurts and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable again, to risk the possibility of being hurt in order to experience the possibility of connection. It's about understanding that while pain is a part of life, so too is joy, love, and companionship. And that's what we have to remind ourselves of. The walls might keep us safe, but they also keep us from fully living. Each of us has the power to decide how we live our lives. We can choose to keep the walls up, to stay in isolation, convincing ourselves that we're better off alone. Or we can choose to start taking down those walls, brick by brick, moment by moment, allowing ourselves to feel, to connect, and to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. It's a choice that takes courage, but it's also one that leads to the kind of life we all truly want, a life filled with love, with friendship, with connection. Isolation is a choice, even if it doesn't feel that way. It's something we create, something we maintain, and ultimately something we can choose to let go of. By letting down our walls, we give ourselves the chance to reconnect with the world, to build relationships that matter, and to experience the fullness of life in all its beauty and complexity. A life without friends can feel powerful but lacks true fulfillment. The concept of going through life alone, relying only on oneself, often carries an allure. We hear about self-made people, those who pull themselves up through hard work and sheer determination, seemingly needing no one else along the way. And while that image of independence and strength is celebrated, there's an underlying truth we often overlook. A life without friends may appear strong, but it lacks the depth, the warmth, and the joy that true fulfillment brings. There's something in the human spirit that craves connection, that yearns to share life with others, not just in its high points, but also in its quiet, vulnerable moments. When people talk about fulfillment, they often mention accomplishments, goals, and milestones. But these achievements, while significant, are only part of the picture. True fulfillment goes beyond what we can achieve or hold in our hands. It's about what fills our hearts. And no matter how much success we achieve, there's a space within us that remains empty without genuine connections. Friendships bring color to our lives. They bring laughter, understanding, and a sense of belonging that can't be replicated by any solo accomplishment. Imagine reaching a significant goal, something you've worked tirelessly toward. The moment arrives and the pride and satisfaction are real. But if there's no one there to celebrate with, to share that joy, the moment loses some of its magic. It feels fleeting, as if something essential is missing. Achievements shine brightest when they're shared. The people around us, the ones who know our journey, who have seen our struggles, who celebrate our victories with us, they are the ones who give these moments their depth. Without them, even the highest achievements can feel hollow. Living without friends can feel like a form of control. We think that by keeping people at a distance, we can avoid disappointment, avoid conflict, avoid pain. We might feel powerful, even invincible, because we answer to no one, rely on no one, and don't have to risk vulnerability. But this sense of control comes at a cost. It keeps us safe, but it also keeps us isolated. It shields us from pain, but it also blocks out love, joy, and companionship. True fulfillment requires us to be open, to allow others into our lives, to take down the walls that we think protect us, but in reality hold us back from experiencing life's fullness. The powerful feeling of independence is real, but it's also fleeting. The strength we feel in being self-reliant can't sustain us in the long term. Eventually, we begin to feel the weight of solitude, the emptiness of not having someone to turn to, someone who understands us on a deeper level. The truth is, life was never meant to be lived alone. We were created to connect, to share, to build relationships that support us, challenge us, and remind us of who we are beyond our accomplishments. Without these relationships, we miss out on an essential part of what it means to be human. friendships provide us with a mirror, reflecting back parts of ourselves that we might not see otherwise. They give us perspective, helping us grow in ways we can't achieve alone. Friends challenge us to be better, to see beyond our own limited views, to understand different perspectives, and to embrace a broader view of life. They're the ones who encourage us to take risks, who believe in us when we don't believe in ourselves, who stand by us through the highs and the lows. Without friends, we miss out on these moments of growth and transformation that come only from sharing life with others. It's easy to think that friends are only there to make us happy, to keep us company, to fill the time. But true friendships go deeper than that. They're about connection, yes, but they're also about accountability, honesty, and shared experience. Friends hold us to our highest potential. They see our strengths, our talents, and they push us to use them. They remind us of our worth, our value, and our purpose. Without friends, we lose that source of encouragement, that reminder that we're capable of more than we sometimes give ourselves credit for. At the same time, friendships allow us to experience vulnerability, to show up as our true selves without the fear of judgment. They give us a space to be human, to admit our fears, our insecurities, our struggles. We don't have to put on a front, don't have to pretend to be perfect. In the presence of true friends, we can be real. And that honesty, that ability to be fully seen and accepted, is one of the greatest sources of fulfillment in life. Without friends, we're left carrying our burdens alone, with no one to help us bear the weight. Fulfillment isn't just about the big moments, it's also about the small, everyday moments that bring meaning to our lives. It's the late-night conversations, the shared laughter, the inside jokes, the comfort of knowing there's someone who understands us in a way no one else does. These are the things that make life rich, that give us memories to look back on, that make us feel alive. A life without friends lacks these moments of joy, connection, and belonging. It may feel powerful, but it lacks the true depth and beauty that come from sharing life with others. In a world that often prioritizes individual achievement, it's easy to forget the value of friendship, to overlook the importance of relationships in our pursuit of success. But true fulfillment can't be measured by what we achieve alone. It's found in the relationships that sustain us, in the people who stand by us, who know us, who celebrate our victories and support us in our struggles. Without these connections, life becomes a series of accomplishments without meaning, successes without joy, milestones without memories. A life without friends may look strong on the outside, but on the inside there's an emptiness that can't be filled by any amount of success. The human heart needs connection, needs to feel seen, understood, and valued. Friends provide that, not by what they give us, but by simply being there. They remind us that we're not alone, that we're part of something bigger, that our lives matter not just because of what we achieve, but because of who we are and who we share our lives with. When we think about true fulfillment, we realize that it's not about standing alone at the top of a mountain. It's about looking around and seeing the people who climbed with us, who supported us, who were there for the journey. It's about knowing that our lives have been enriched not by what we did alone, but by the relationships we built, the lives we touched, and the love we shared along the way. Without friends, life becomes a journey we walk alone. And while that might feel powerful in the short term, it can never bring the lasting fulfillment that comes from walking alongside others. People are drawn to our hearts, not our achievements. In a world that celebrates success, accomplishments, and accolades, it's easy to believe that people are impressed by what we do more than by who we are. We grow up seeing achievements highlighted on social media, in the news, and in the conversations around us. It's natural to think that if we want others to value us, we need to have something impressive to show. But real connections are rarely built on our resumes or our achievements. They are built on our hearts, on the qualities that show our true selves, on the moments of kindness, honesty, and vulnerability that reveal who we are beyond what we've done. When we focus solely on achievements, it can be tempting to present a version of ourselves that seems polished and impressive. We might find ourselves talking more about what we've accomplished, what we're working on, or what goals we've set. This can create a sense of pride, of course, but it can also create distance. Achievements can sometimes become barriers, walls that we put up around ourselves to ensure we're seen in a certain way. They create an image of strength, resilience, and capability, but they don't always show our real selves. People can be impressed by these things, but admiration and connection are not the same. What draws people in and makes them want to stay isn't what we've done, but how we make them feel. It's the warmth, empathy, and understanding we show. These qualities create a sense of safety, a feeling that they can be themselves with us without judgment or pretense. People are drawn to the person who listens, who cares, who takes the time to truly see them. They're drawn to someone who's willing to put aside their own ego, to step into someone else's world, to understand their perspective. This is where real connections form, where bonds deepen, where friendships grow. Our hearts hold qualities that go beyond any achievement: compassion, kindness, generosity, patience, and love. These are the things that people remember long after they've forgotten what awards we won or what goals we achieved. Our achievements might impress them for a moment, but it's our character that leaves a lasting impact. It's how we treat them, how we respect them, how we make them feel valued and seen. That's what stays with people long after the conversation is over, long after they've walked away. People are not drawn to us because of what we can do for them in terms of material accomplishments or status. They're drawn to us because they see something in us that resonates with their own humanity. They see parts of themselves reflected in our kindness, in our understanding, in our willingness to listen. In a world that can often feel cold, competitive, and driven by success, a warm heart is a rare and beautiful thing. It's what makes people feel like they're not alone, like someone truly cares about their journey, their struggles, their dreams. It's easy to get caught up in the race to achieve, to accomplish, to reach new heights. And there's nothing wrong with striving for success, with setting goals and working toward them. But if we're constantly focused on what we can achieve, we risk losing sight of what makes us truly human. We risk becoming distant, closed off, and disconnected from others. People aren't looking for someone to impress them, they're looking for someone who can relate to them, someone who understands them. Our hearts, our capacity for empathy and compassion are what make us relatable, what make us approachable, what make people feel comfortable opening up to us. When we lead with our hearts instead of our achievements, we create space for deeper, more meaningful connections. We allow people to see the real us, not just the version we present to the world. We let down our guard, we show our humanity, and in doing so, we invite others to do the same. This openness, this willingness to be vulnerable, is what draws people in. It tells them that it's okay to be themselves, that they don't have to pretend or put on a show. It gives them permission to be real, to share their own struggles, to connect on a deeper level. People remember how we make them feel. They remember the kindness we show, the way we listen without judgment, the times we stand by them when they're going through difficult moments. These are the things that build trust, that create bonds that last, that make people feel valued. And these are things that can't be measured in awards or accomplishments. They come from the heart, from a place of genuine care and concern. They come from being willing to put others first, to prioritize relationships over recognition. True connections aren't formed by status or success. They're formed by showing up as our authentic selves. It's the real moments, the times when we let our guard down, when we share our fears, our hopes, our dreams, that people truly connect with us. When we allow ourselves to be seen for who we are, we give others the chance to see their own humanity reflected back. This is what draws people to us, not our success, but our sincerity, not our achievements, but our authenticity. The beauty of leading with our hearts is that it's something everyone can do. It doesn't matter what we've achieved, how much money we have, or what status we hold. Our ability to connect with others, to make them feel valued, to show kindness and compassion, these are things that don't require a resume. They don't require accolades or recognition. They simply require us to be present, to care, to listen, to show up for others in a way that says, I see you and I value you. When people are drawn to our hearts, they're drawn to the person we are, not the persona we project. They're drawn to our true essence, to the qualities that make us human. And that kind of connection, that kind of bond is priceless. It's the kind of connection that can't be broken by changes in circumstances, by successes or failures. It's rooted in something deeper, something lasting, something that goes beyond the surface. Our hearts are what make us approachable, relatable, and lovable. They're what make people want to be around us, not because of what we can do for them, but because of who we are. They're what make people feel safe, valued, and understood. And in the end, that's what truly matters. It's not the accolades, the achievements, or the recognition that make a difference. It's the love, the kindness, and the empathy we bring to the world. People are drawn to these qualities, to the light we carry within us, to the warmth that radiates from a heart that genuinely cares. When we shift our focus from achievement to connection, we find a sense of fulfillment that can't be measured. We realize that the relationships we build, the lives we touch, the moments of kindness we share, these are the true markers of a life well lived. And it's in these moments, in these connections, that we find a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, a sense of belonging that goes beyond any accolade or award. Our hearts are our greatest assets. They're what make us unique, what give us the power to make a difference, to bring light into the lives of others. People are drawn to this light, to the authenticity and sincerity that come from being our true selves. They're drawn to the love we show, the compassion we offer, the kindness we extend. And it's in this connection, in this shared humanity, that we find a sense of fulfillment that no amount of success can replace.